Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is Mr. Ravi Kapoor, and I'm sure that he will impart a global tarka to our topic. Please, Mr. Ravi Kapoor. He is the Managing Director of Hoiberg India, which is a part of the 600-year-old Hoiberg group of companies located in Europe, USA, and India. He is the President of the Indian Chemical Council and Chairman Gujarat. He is at the forefront of the Responsible Care Initiative propagated by ICC and is the Chairman, Responsible Care and Sustainability Committee. He is the past President of the Ecological and Toxicological Association of Dyes and Organic Pigment Manufacturers, a global organization based in Basel, and he is the Chairman of the Indian Operating Committee. Mr. Ravi Kapoor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very special morning for all those of you who have 2,000 rupees in your pocket. Special morning with 4,000 rupees guys in the pocket. Even better with 24,000 rupees in your pocket. So those are the three categories. And very special good morning to those who have no cash in their pocket. Further, I have a special good morning for people with a digital wallet, and even more with multi-digital wallets, because we are all pushing this. And commiserations for those of you who have just come directly from the ATM machines, and even more so who have come from the ATM machines without any ATM cash. Okay, what I'm going to do today, ladies and gentlemen, is going to try to keep this light. This subject is heavy. You have already listened to Chetan, and I saw some expressions because he was having a nice expression saying that the prices are going to increase, but we as buyers are not very happy with that. So I'm going to try to keep this light because I find that humor is sometimes good to tackle situations which are not the best or at least stressful. And over the course of the next 15 or 20 minutes, I'm going to give you 3 jokes, okay? The last one will come in the end because it's the most dangerous one and fraught with risk. The first one goes like this. There is this boy who is asking this lady who is standing by the road, "Auntie, where is the State Bank ATM?" She says, 2 kilometers. He says, "Auto milega?" She says, "Chupchap piche khade ho jao line mein." That's the 2 kilometer line to the ATM. Okay, jokes apart. Because you may think I have come here only to make fun. No, that's not the idea. Jokes apart, this is probably the most momentous announcement, I think, in the history of India in many ways. It could have ramifications which would probably be the most significant. It's very interesting to see where we are going to go, because I think one thing most will agree that we really don't know unless and until we give it the due time. So the effects of demonetizing on the medium term, long term, and even the short term are really something. The short term is being seen, but the medium and the long term definitely needs to be seen. Statistics are staggering. If you look at just one thing, simple thing which worries me, 80% of India's labor is employed on the informal structure. And out of that 80%, you have something like, and this is about 45% of the GDP, which means about 50% of India's GDP comes from this area. There are only 8 branches in the rural area, bank branches in the rural area and the semi-rural area per capita. Debit card transactions, which we are relying on, is absolutely per capita abysmally low. Okay, you have something like, you have 260 transactions versus I think less than 15 transactions in India, which is in Korea is more than 250 transactions. Only 4%, and previous speaker has brought this out. Only 4% of India's population are covered in the tax base. It's just 4%. And correctly, this needs to be addressed. Demonetizing took away 86% of India's currency. Wholesale markets are affected. Okay, the movement in the wholesale markets today, and you can see many pictures, many photographs, they are reduced. Movement of trucks and transport, because I'm going to talk to you a little bit about industry, that is grossly reduced. Estimates of a percent of GDP range from 20-25%, and there is even one article which says it's 60%. There's a new term which is very interesting. Black money is one, but black wealth, this was something interesting that I went into. Black wealth, they say, is 3.5 times that of black money, which means the wealth which is accumulated with black money over the period of time. So you have land, jewelry, whatsoever, different, methods of which, and that's the new term which is for me at least interesting. There are huge amount of doomsday prophecies. Economists are talking about it. They say that right now it's going to be 0.5% drop in the GDP, and some people say that it would be as much as 2.5%. Now, previous Prime Minister says 2.5%. So this is a big range here. Our GDP is 66% consumption, 30% saving, and 4% the net export value. And this is one of the areas of concern, that if the consumption itself is coming down, then you are going to get some effect. Now my point here is there is so much data, we are bombarded, we pick up the paper in the morning, we listen to the TV, we listen to friends, after dinner, in the dinner talks. It's absolutely difficult to know what is happening. There are even allegations that news channels show only lines and do not show people who are happy. I mean, this is very difficult because in today's time of everything on the social media, what is the real truth sometimes is difficult, and this may be strange because your truth does get colored when you see, when you hear, when you have all the three sides. I'm not going to go so much into it because speakers have gone into it. Economists are having a free day. Okay, they are predicting, and economists are, I hope there are no economists here, they are dangerous. And I like this, somebody said, economists depend as the economy depends as much on economists as the weather does on weather forecasters. Which means, they are going to give you comments which are going to happen after the event, I put together a quick PowerPoint and which shows some of the implications. For a change, and this is going to surprise Milin, I am positive in the sense, my view is, I don't know whether finally this will work to what extent. But I am saying that it is done. You can grumble and cry and do what you like. You might as well put your energy in trying to make this work. So we as citizens, I think at least need to see what we can do to make it work. Because again, non-controversial are the goals for demonetizing. The goals for demonetizing are non-controversial, that you want to take out corruption, you want to take out black money, you want to increase really the tax base, etc., etc., etc. So I am jumping a little bit into the implications, and I am going to go quickly and I'll run through. Shriyant, I still insist you tell me when I am crossing my time limit. The government of India, this is a historic step, you know this, okay? And we have to use the modern payment system, the healthy tax base, triggering the structural, okay? Indian business heavily dependent on hard currency, we know this. There's a huge disruption in logistics. This is a serious issue. The structural benefits have to come from, okay, we need higher financial savings, which we are going to get. Lower cost of capital, correction in the property prices. Chetan has already spoken. He's going to get a correction, his direction. Improvement in the ease of doing business is what we are expecting. Okay. Sectors which are affected, okay, for our durables, white goods, two-wheelers, passenger cars, tractors, 30, 40, 50% drop in car bookings. Non-essential, because we all have cars, and if you want to buy a new car, you're going to postpone this decision. Cement consumption is down. This comes mainly from the individual house owners, and that's coming down. And about 20 to 30% drop in the demand. Okay, and this is the part which is worrisome. I think this is what we'll have to address, because if the demand goes down, then industry is going to suffer. There's a case where now Asian Paint, the biggest paint company, that's my sector of business, the biggest paint company is actually going down in paint because, again, paint is something you can postpone. If you want to paint your house, you can do it later. If you don't have cash, etc., painter requires cash. That has led to a ripple effect, and you see that already there is a drop. In fact, there are some companies who are key suppliers, and Asian is a big customer, have actually had to shut down for 4 days, 5 days. So there is a tangible effect, and that's a short-term effect, and hopefully it corrects itself. Now, disruption in logistics. 60% of the freight is not in movement, which means the stuff is stuck in warehouses. ASSOCHAM is estimating that 75% of the business is small transporters with less than 5 trucks. And these are dependent on cash. Okay, it's a great thing that diesel you can pay cash, that's okay, but you need on-road cash, which means you need cash for on-road expenses. Retail and small businesses are really affected due to the shock to SME finances. This is one interesting angle, that there you have this informal system of small finances and formal system as well, and this is getting affected. There's a negative impact on employment, so there's again a little trick there, and you have to be careful there. I like this saying, yet I'm saying that we need to get positive, because you do today what others won't, so tomorrow you can do what others can't. I think this is what is important, that it is something which is painful. I do not know finally how this is going to come out, okay, but it is done. You have already done it. Maybe tomorrow it would have been too late to do it, so it's done, and now I think we need to move on with it. I like this one also from John Kennedy, F. Kennedy. There are risks and costs to action, but there are far less than the long-range risks of comfortable inaction. Okay, we need to go ahead, and the action plan, as far as what I think, okay, is take a map, and the government needs to do that, and I believe that they already do that. Identify stress locations. So take the hot spots in the country. Ensure relief by adequate flow of goods, services and liquidity. So there are spots, for instance, Orissa, it may be there, it may be in the Far East, wherever. Improve the pattern of supply of currency in circulation. You can't have one solution for one problem, because there are different type of problems in different areas. If there is a rural economy going down, then the government needs to act. And to a large extent, they do try, it's a big task. Work on credit for the wholesale trader, because that's getting stuck. The flow of goods is getting stuck, especially the food and these kind of distribution issues. Push for digital payments. I'm really pushing hard, to the extent, in this small room I can share. I've just come from a golf game, and in golf we have what we call as friendly wagers. We have small stakes. And we are actually now exchanging the result of the stakes on Paytm. So if I win in golf, I get paid by Paytm from my opponent. Address urgently the issues for the farm economy. Again, we said that there is a very large segment of India which depends on the farm economy. So, identify the stress locations. If you go quickly, the government could monitor daily, weekly basis. So this is the same thing which another speaker said here, and you need to get real-time data. You need real-time data coming in quickly. Monitor and adjust based on volume of trade. So what you see is, if you see the movement of trade, less, more, stopping, you can kind of react. The agencies need to track, and this is really happening apparently, and they are working on it. The private companies, agrochemical companies also, so companies like petrochemical, UPL, or if they see a flow of, let's say if you have pesticides or if you have agrochemicals and you see the flow reducing or increasing, you can keep on monitoring that. What you need to do is act real time, because this is happening. There is a kind of a crisis which needs to be addressed. So address the stress location. Then establish a market research to monitor intelligence. Nielsen has, for instance, 40,000 units. Use them, get this done. Similar exercise with chemists, for instance. They say that medicines are becoming a problem. Monitor credit offtake and liquidity with bank data. Improve pattern of supply of currency in circulation. So this year you acutely need to introduce small notes. What should I do with a 2,000 rupee note if I don't get change? And this is something where the smaller notes need to come into play. More smaller notes. Government is apparently working on this. I just spoke to somebody in Mackenzie who's discussing with the government, and this is going on. Banks could use, this innovative idea, it could use vans as mobile branches. Okay, and this is something that they suggested. Work on credit for the wholesaler. Now here the banks could extend larger overdrafts. Again, you can't have same rules for everybody, and you need to adapt today, because this is a big change. This is trauma. This is trauma on the economy, and you need to change. And apparently this is being addressed again. Capital relief schemes could now be introduced very quickly, but effective immediately. And this is by no way distributing money. It is subject to sound risk management. I think this is very important to stress. Then the real-time implementation of interest rate announcements. RBI announces, but then they implement it after 1 month. We don't have that luxury anymore. You announce it, you implement it. consider to allow NBFCs to accept old notes, because the NBFCs again should be monitored properly, but it's a suggestion. Now digital payments, all of us have a key role to play. All of us have 10 or 12 people who are below a certain level of economy line. Can we train them? Is your driver on Paytm? Is your driver on a bank account? Is your servant on or whosoever is working for you? I think here I would exhort everybody to really do that. So get people on digital and do this. Adopt seamless flow between bank accounts, wallets and payments. One good suggestion is, there are today different wallets and the wallets are not interlinked. And the interlinking of wallets, I think, is very good. Paytm should be linked with the wallet of ICICI, just like the mobile phones today are, and then becomes more seamless. And there are certain platforms where it is possible, but again needs government intervention. Increase transaction limits for KYC. So we have to do this. We can't get, if the KYC customers are there, you have to increase it. Help in educating as many people. Okay, and this we can do, you can do. It should be done by bank staff, it should be done by NGO levels. Rotary should take it up, probably you're already doing it. If you're not doing it, recommendation that you should look at it. Facilitate ATM use for unbanked people, this could be done. So this is interesting, where if you've got a servant who can put money in an ATM here, and that can be taken by his wife or parents or whosoever in his village, even if they are not. So they are not really a bank account holder or even an ATM card holder. Address urgently issues of the farm economy. This is most important because we don't realize 50% of India does depend, and here is really the problem. You and I are not really the sufferers. How many of you have actually gone and stood in an ATM line? Anybody here who has actually gone and stood? Okay, very few hands. So, very few hands. Wonderful. Okay, special welcome to you guys. But I would say that we are not really the guys who are getting affected. We are not the people who are affected. People who are affected are, are out there, and I think they are the ones who have to be, their problems need to be addressed. Okay, I like this again. Vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. Vision with action can change the world. I think this is something we should carry back, if you agree. Thank you very much. But I didn't give you my last joke, okay? My last joke, and with due apologies to the ladies and the wives in the audience, I'm saying this last because I didn't want any tomatoes, rotten ones coming to me. So, you have two chartered accountants here, and client asked the chartered accountant, I've put 4.5 lakhs in my wife's account. Are you sure the income tax will arrest her, or should I put more? Thank you very much.
Raviji, you have left us with a question which needs to be addressed possibly in private. And more importantly, for sure, rotten tomatoes not coming your way, but many compliments as well as questions are sure coming your way. In between, can I request Rotarian Chandrajit to please present a memento to Ravi Kapoor ji, please. All of you, please send your questions by SMS or WhatsApp on given number.
I think if I may reply on behalf of the chartered accountant for just 1 minute to complete the joke. The chartered accountant's response was, your wife has already put 10 lakhs in your account, so start worrying about that.
I want to add, my wife is in the audience. Okay?